Alright guys, so this is a quick overview of the Realacc or Realacc X210. This is called the V Plus 214mm frame. So this is very similar to the X210 frame from Banggood as before. So basically this is the version plus, or the second version. And they've made a couple of adjustments to this frame which I think are quite worthwhile that I'm just going to go over right now. They've made a lot of improvements to the pod itself, which is kind of where it needed the most improvements. So straight off the bat, these standoffs right here, not only are they the skinny ones with have the little skinny section here, but they're 5mm taller. And I always felt like this frame over here that was really cramped. So that extra 5mm is going to give us a lot more options to do camera tilt and whatnot. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. One of the features that you're going to see is that it comes with an integrated LED which goes right on the back here, that's going to be super fun. Now the thing that's going to be the most confusing for most people is going to be this camera pod. Basically your camera's going to lay right in here, and getting this whole section together is a little bit strange. So basically here's the front, and this is what's going to be on the side. So basically you have this pivoting point here for your FPV camera. Then you also have a pivoting point here for your HD camera. So this is going to be your GoPro. So basically you could raise this up or put it back down. Now some guys were like, oh, this bar here is not big enough, but you actually have to put these side plates into the inner section, not the outer section. You're going to run this on the outer section. You'll see there's a cutout here for that outer section to dip down into. And this also houses this little plate here that goes in between here, which gives it a little bit of strengthening. This is a little portion that goes on the back, that's in case you want to run the your SMA antenna out the back here. This will give it a little bit of support, but I do like the fact that they have the round cutout for making a pigtail comes through there. That's usually the way I like to do my antennas. On my other one I was kind of forced to I actually ran this one down the leg here, which is actually a good way of doing it as well. But let me just pop this camera in. Now one of the big issues I had with this frame is that the camera would constantly tilt on its own because it was basically just pivoting off of two spots, and I would tighten up the screw here and it would just eventually just strip out the housing, and then I'd just be kind of screwed after that. So let me just show you how this goes in. Okay, so basically this lines up right here. Okay, so if you guys can see, now this is the new run cam style of housing, how it has these pivot points. So you always will have your second connection point right here, which you can adjust your angle here. I don't have a lens in here, but basically it goes like this, as if you guys can see that. This is going to be super helpful to have two screws on each side, and this one actually has a brass nut in the inside, so you can really tighten it down. That way you don't have any problems with your camera tilt. It doesn't, when you land, the camera doesn't fall down and strip the housing here. So this is a huge improvement. I'm really happy about that. So this is the reason why I'm taking apart my 210 here. Is I had a very hard landing, and having this XT60 right up against here, you can see what happened. I got a stress point there. I was really stretching my battery cable to come around here and plug in. Sometimes it would put some pressure on it, and then anytime you go into a crash, it could really break this, and it broke this pretty good. So what I would suggest so when I'm going to do this new one here is I'm going to run a pigtail here. I'm just going to run 2 wires, probably about that long, so I have a little bit of a dongle hanging out there, just like Apple. I'm going to have a dongle hanging out so that I can actually reach to some of my batteries, because I had like my 4S 1550 tattoo battery, and it has a very short battery lead, and I could not hook these things up, so I couldn't run the battery on this frame. So I would suggest not doing this, because this is definitely a fracture point. You can see that right there, just broke right off. So I'm going to replace the PDB on this one, and I'm going to run a dongle coming out the side here. So the wheelbase is supposed to be 214mm, so we're getting about 4mm across wider, as they actually give you longer screws to go up into the standoffs. I'm always a big fan of longer screws. Not as long as I'd like, but still better than the last version that they had out. They had very short screws. There's this little piece here that spans the camera platform here, and it inserts into that little slot right there. This tab here is too big. Okay, so this little tab here is too big. What I had to do is I had to skinny it up, and you can see I kind of sanded it off here. There's also 2 nubs that come off the side that go right here and on the other side. I had to flatten those out. So this was just manufactured a little bit wrong. The specs are not correct. So just keep that in mind if you buy this frame. It's a very easy thing to do if you have a rotary wheel or a bit of sandpaper. Okay guys, just because this is quite a complex little piece here, I mean, I'm just going to put this together for you. So you've got your two outer pieces are on the outside here, and these two pieces are in the inner. The main frame piece are in the inner, so we have inner, and then this little L-shaped bracket is on the outer. So let me just get the other L-shaped bracket that looks a little bit like this. This is going to go right here. So first off, I have to put in this little thing that I just ground down the little nubs there so it'll fit properly. That's about the only inconvenience that I've seen with this frame. It's not a huge deal. So if you're a hobbyist and someone that can work with your hands, it's not a deal breaker at all. So okay, so this is neutral, and you actually don't need to run this L bracket. If this angle here is good for you, then that's fine. So that's the least amount of camera tilt for your GoPro, and that is the most. So it's only like 15 degrees or so, so I'm not really even sure if this is necessary. But anyway, that's how everything goes together. Like I said, this is a weird piece. I had a really hard time getting this together, but I basically just pulled up the website just so I could kind of peek in and see how things looked. So from here, obviously, you're going to just tighten these guys down, then put it on the frame. And they only give you one battery strap for the bottom, and they don't give you a strap for the top here. You would run the battery strap around here, obviously, for your GoPro. So I decided to go with a RunCam Swift because it utilizes this whole back plate system that it really, you're able to control your tilt and not have it move on you while you're flying or when you land. You basically can't run the Eagle because of the new mounting system that they came up with here. The holes are too close together. I suppose if you wanted to drill another hole in here and make that work, it would work, but I'm not going to do that. The Swifts that have this special type of backing plate fits perfectly for this type of frame, and the Eagle does not. Well, alright guys, I hope your guys' bench looks as tidy as mine after build. This is what it always looks like after I finish something. So basically I have everything ready and to go here. I decided not to put the back LEDs on at this point. I probably will add this in later. I think it says it takes 5 volts. Yes, it does right there. Okay, so definitely an improvement over the last frame. So I just have a lot more room in there with that extra 5mm on the stack there. You can see I'm running my pigtail there to that nice hole that's in the top. The other thing I really like about this top plate is that they have all these little spots here where you can put zip ties and whatnot. There's actually a little hole right through this section right here, which allowed me to run these antennas. So that seems to be all working really well. I was a little disappointed when I got to the bottom here. I'm only able to run 2 screws. You can see the open 2 screws there. The carbon just is not quite milled correctly to where I can get the next 2 screws in. I actually cross-threaded 2 of my holes trying to get the other 2 holes to screws in there. So so at this point I'm just going to run 2 screws. I've run 2 screws on a lot of my former builds, but what happens sometimes in a crash is that becomes a weak spot and it can just tear the motor apart, and I've done that about 3 times. I'm pretty much done with this build. I don't think I'm going to go to the extra hassle of extra drilling out those holes or filing them or whatever to get them to accept the other 2 screws. So I know a lot of people that actually just run with just 2 screws on each motor, and that's just fine for this build. So if you guys didn't know, I just took everything off of my X210, put it on the X214 V1 or V Plus is what it's called. So I have my antennas from my X4R just up here, just like I did on my last build. This time, instead of running this pigtail down one of the legs and running my antenna there, the antenna is just going to be on the top rather. And it's nice that it's on a pigtail, so if you crash and hit this is not going to damage your VTX. So basically I just have to, I just need to zip tie this down and get it out of the way. And that is it for the build, guys. Got the RunCam Swift in there with my GoPro lens. That should work out just fine, but this is a huge improvement over that frame. That frame is a good frame, but this, they just made it better. So this is really the way I want to go. And so thanks guys for joining my build. I know I didn't do a step-by-step, but this is mainly just an explanation. of my build. So I hope you guys will enjoy this. Stay tuned for the flight video coming up, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.